What's going on, world? It's your boy, Kuya P, NRW. Nerds rule the world. Another amazing interview as I show love and light to my peoples over in the industry, the adult industry, for the grown and sexy, if you will. I want to give a shout out to Erica Icon, as always. The Rob PR always hooks me up with some amazing talent so I could talk to them and show the other side of the business because as I've covered media for so many years, I think just the industry gets a lot of different looks. And I just want to show how normal, not that what they're doing isn't normal. It's all real. It's all love. It's how we got here, people. But yeah. And today I'm so excited. I have the award-winning Marvin Love that you're about to see on the screen. We're going to talk how he got into the business, how he was doing like mainstream work beforehand, I believe. And now how he's just killing it and being the world traveler. If you follow him on his IG, he just made me so jealous not too long ago when I went to just check it out. Let's bring him up on the screen. Marvin Love, what's good? How are you, sir?
Yeah, thank you so much. I'm doing great. I am doing absolutely fantastic. It is finally sunny and warm in LA. I don't know if you're in LA, but you know, we are very spoiled over here. And so whenever it is none of those, whenever it is not sunny or warm, we are losing our minds. And finally the sun is out. We're like, oh yes, this is what we paid so much money for.
Yeah, I'm so jelly. I've been to LA quite a bit. I travel. I'm actually over on the other side of the coast right now, Marvin. I'm in the DC area where it is rainy and overcast. So you're living it up right now. Enjoy it for me.
I wouldn't imagine what I would be able to do in that kind of weather. But hey, you know, a podcast maybe, you know, like keeping the mind creative and all that stuff. So yeah, for sure.
You know what? Yeah, as a seasonal guy, I love the sun, but you know, there's something that just also, I think, assists creatively, you know, living here on the East Coast. But you are a creative. I'm curious, you know, I've seen nothing but just goodness in reference to you. Like, you're like the director everybody wants to work with, especially starting off in the business. Where, you know, actually, before we even get to the industry, I'd like to know some of the prior roots of Marvin Love. Like, when did you first like, I want to become a filmmaker? Because you were like doing other stuff even before that and studying. What was your first introduction to film? How about we start there? Was it a kid with like, was there a film show that you just, man, I want to get into the business?
Okay. What made me very interested in filmmaking was a music video. I can never forget this music video. It was by Natalie Imbruglia. It is Torn. I don't know if you've heard it.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm an old head. I may look the fish and rice and melanin makes me look good, but I'm an old head.
I love that video. You know, so I remember watching that video as a kid, and I thought it was just cool and everything. And then when I got older, I watched the video again, and in the video, they're on a set that is actually an actual like sound stage, and it looks like a house, and they're tearing down the set while the singer is singing. I'm like, oh my God, I've been scammed. That wasn't really a house. Oh my God, what kind of sorcery is this? So I really want to get into this art of like making believe and making stuff out of nothing. And that's why I decided to go into filmmaking. And also growing up as a child, I was good at lying. So, I mean, storytelling is lying.
I love that.
So I picked an interest in that. But you have to understand that I grew up in Nigeria. And, you know, in African homes, either you want to be a pilot, a doctor, or a banker, or the president. But, you know, sometimes we push against that. And I was very nervous about telling my dad that I wanted to be a filmmaker. I schooled all my life in Nigeria. And when I got to the point of getting my master's degree, you know, he asked me, hey, where do you want to go? And what do you want to do? I'm like, I want to be a filmmaker. And I thought he didn't even hear me. He's like, okay, sure. What school do you want to go to? I'm like, I want to be a filmmaker. He's like, yeah, I heard you. What film do you want to go to? I'm like, this guy's trying to get rid of me. So that is how I ended up in LA for film school. And I then started practicing film, learning and everything. And it got so interesting. I mean, the art of just making stories has always been something I love, but actually getting to do it with people and, manage multiple personalities and whatever. I'm like, yo, the next point from here would just be managing these personalities while they're naked. And that is how I got into porn.
We get there. I love that. First off, wow. You know what? First off, number one, what got me as a creative, as a filmmaker as well, was a music video, just like you. So when you brought that up, I was amazed. But maybe I'm a little older here, but for me, it was the making of Thriller, Michael Jackson's Thriller.
Love that.
Do you remember seeing like that behind the scenes with?
Yes.
When you saw them like making up everybody, you saw Michael with the werewolf makeup, just all of that.
Yes.
That's what made me like, oh, I can't wait to create and just do that. That was so I love that. And also as a Filipino in the Philippines, like we're either lawyer, doctor, engineer. I feel you, bro.
I felt like I was going against the tradition of the country by choosing to be a filmmaker. I was like, hopefully they're not trying to get rid of me or anything. But it worked out. I would say it worked out. And going back to the Michael Jackson Thriller, like that is one of the first music videos I ever watched in my life.
Wow.
To the point where whenever I was naughty as a kid, my mom would threaten me, I'm going to play Thriller. And I'm like, okay, I'll be good. Because it was so scary.
It was scary. Real talk. Like the yellow eyes, everything. It was bananas.
It was so scary. But I never stopped watching.
Exactly. Right? I love it. So they supported you. You went to film school. You came out to LA.
Yeah.
Is that your first time like traveling from Nigeria to away from the family like that?
First time leaving the country ever was my flight from Nigeria to Los Angeles for film school. I was 22. I'm like, okay, bye family. And I landed in this country. Huge culture shock. I mean, culture shock that I'm still even going through to this very day. But I knew one thing I had to do was tell stories. And the advantage I had, not over everyone, but the advantage I had to myself was the fact that I was from another country, right? So I have a different perspective in storytelling. And I went to a film school that was very international. And so everyone had interesting stories. So we're never discouraged from like, oh, why aren't we making a James Bond? Because back in our countries, we don't have James Bond. We have like other things. So it really pushed me to actually like think of myself as a creative person, just being in a very diverse environment and stuff like that. Yeah.
That's beautiful. That's beautiful.
Yeah.
And there's a kinship, I'm sure, that
absolutely
that happens.
Absolutely.
I love it. So learning the trade, falling in love with it, growing up, I'm sure you taught yourself. Like I think, we get the professional training, but then when you love something, you learn for yourself and you dive and you research and all of that. So doing this though, when you're away from home and you're in school in a different country, can you tell me about just some of those experiences? What were some of the hardest moments and how did you overcome it? Because I think all of us as filmmakers, we wish we would have like, hey, be ready for this or that, to just keep encouraging us to survive.
It was really one of the toughest 2 years of my life, I would say. First thing that happened when I moved to the States was my economy back home in Nigeria just went flat. So the money I thought I would be getting, the support I thought I would be getting, I wasn't getting that anymore. So I had to then resort to working. However, my visa didn't permit me to work. But that is just, it was to me like I have to survive. So I started working under the table jobs and everything. But as soon as I got known in film school as a first AD, I started getting paid to work. Even as a student, I knew I shouldn't have been charging people to work on their sets, but I did not care. I knew I was really good at keeping people on time and actually like also creating a very warm environment by having fun. So even if we shoot for like 13 hours, no one feels like they've been on set for 13 hours because, I'm there, we're having fun. So that's what I did. I started working and being a first AD. The challenge was financially, like being, able to take care of myself and also pick the passion over the money, because the need for the money came so quickly because I lost all my ties to, family support just as soon as I got here. So I'm like, how do I approach this as a wide-eyed, oh my God, I want to take it all in and not pick money over it? But I was very lucky enough to meet my very, very good friend who had done film school before. I met him while he was in his last semester in film school. And so he was like, listen, Marvin, the thing to film school is you are learning the exact same thing for 2 years because there's no other formula to being creative. There's no step. It's just write your story and shoot it. That is it. There's nothing you're going to learn in the second year that you haven't learned in the first year. Like script writing, we did like 10 pages in our first semester in our first year. And then by the second semester of our second year, we are writing 130 pages. There's no difference to that. It's just writing 10 pages multiple times. You know what I mean? So when he said that, I'm like, damn, you're right. So I just have to like focus on getting the crust done and then pick money. But while I'm on set getting paid, I am also learning. And so that's what I did. I worked my butt off. Craigslist was my best friend at that point,
Starting off, as a filmmaker, man, totally.
Oh man, yeah. I was always on Craigslist looking for jobs, and I was blessed to find big opportunities, through that platform, really. And so that was how I overcame that major thing, because it can drill you. Like if you're coming here with the intention of learning and then you're thrown into a financial burden, then it's and for a city as unforgiving as LA and an industry like Hollywood, oh my God, you have to really swim. There's no time to sink.
Completely agree. And I feel that I think it's all about repetition. I think that has been the secret to my success. Like you said, you were learning the same thing in school, but it's not really until you're on the set and onto another set and onto another set that things start to click and pick up, and you're learning how everything moves, that you get better.
Yeah. I loved every bit of that, like being brought up in Nigeria. We have our industry. We have Nollywood. I don't know if you know, but it's the third largest film industry in the world.
Oh, yeah.
We roll out more films than Hollywood weekly because it takes us like 4 days to shoot a feature film. And there's a high demand for it because it's massively entertaining. But I had to come here and, understand the fascination to things like May 4th. And why everyone just dresses that way, because we didn't watch Star Wars growing up. So I'm like, what is this culture that I have to learn? But being on set, I was able to learn that without having to like sit and understand the fundamentals of storytelling and American storytelling, and why certain films are the greatest films. I worked on films that were inspired by movies that, were huge in America and also globally. So that was a good thing, that I was able to learn a lot being on set. A very, very huge plus to working at that time. That was great.
I feel that, and I love that. That actually just got me thinking, what are some of your inspirations, like as a creative, or some of your favorite films? Like, let's start there. Yeah. What are some of your inspirations?
Okay, so favorite films. The Lion King. One, it's set in Africa. It's a cartoon. So I'm like, what? Lions in Africa on a global scale, I am all for it. And the story is actually a very, very deep story. If you
I cried the first time I saw Lion King, and I was in high school with a bunch of friends, and you're not supposed to cry, quote unquote, in front of your boys and all that, and girls. I was a ball. I was tearing up all over the place.
The Lion King is the one film that I'll say I've seen the most. And every time I watch The Lion King, I am surprised that Mufasa dies. I'm like, wait, he died? Everything I could watch it right now, be so shocked that he dies. Why? Because it is so unheard of for a cartoon, a movie for kids to have a dead body that was alive a few frames ago, but it is now dead in frame for that long. And like, they're not talking about death and mourning like this, but it is so African. That was the bit that a lot of some people don't understand, but that is very African, that the mourning process. And so that is why it really gets to me, that I always feel that moment more, and I relate to that moment when he dies, because it's such an African way of mourning and an African way of expressing grief, where we actually have the dead body and we talk about it like it is right there in the room. So yeah, The Lion King is my favorite film. Another film that I love is The Beach.
Leonardo DiCaprio.
Yeah.
Oh, that's a pull. I haven't seen that in a while.
Okay, so that is the movie that inspired me to start traveling.
Oh, I love that. Hell yeah.
Yeah. I've not
Have you gone there yet?
No, I'm going there this Christmas.
Oh no. This
Christmas. No. But that is the movie that inspired me to start traveling. Just the idea of letting go, going away from technology. But that was like Y2K or something. And so, emails were brand new. But everyone is so fascinated with emails and all this, and you choose to leave that and just go to an island where you can smoke weed and just swim forever. Like, that is something that I chase right now, that escape. So yes, The Beach is one of my favorite films. I watch it. I listen to the soundtrack whenever I'm on a plane, because it's like, yes, Marvin, you're going away and you're never coming back. But 3 months later or 3 weeks later, I come back.
I love it.
So yeah, definitely love The Beach.
The Beach and The Lion King, two great pulls. Now you got me wanting to look into my DVD collection and watch The Beach again. That's awesome.
It's a good film to watch. I mean, like, when you know about movies, you can watch them like, it's not great storytelling. But for me, everyone listens to music and watches films to get something. And the fact that that movie has successfully, ignited a love for traveling, job done.
Oh, completely agree. I completely agree. Wholeheartedly. There's certain films that just connect to something in the past or experience that it doesn't have to be a blockbuster Academy Award winner. It could just, something in your soul, and that's what it's about to do. Well, what it can do, and what is just so important with what we do. I love that. Okay, so I know your inspirations. We learned about how you came over. You're making it work. You're finding a way to happen. Shout out to Craigslist, because I know when I was back in the day pulling from that. I love that. So you're learning how to do your craft and making it happen. You're going for your degree. Then all of a sudden, how did you mentioned this a little bit earlier, but you discovered the adult industry. What was actually, before you actually maybe even started working in that a little bit, what was your perspective about sexuality and culturally? Because I know in certain respects, in the Philippines, very Catholic, very Christian. But I grew up all over the world, so my parents are very open. They were hippies too, in a certain way. But it's still, it's not, it's taboo, especially here in the States, where it's so very, what it is. What was that like? Just what was your perspective growing up? Are you very open and active with yourself? And how was that?
Growing up, I wasn't open and active with myself, I would say. But the Nigerian culture, also counters that, just because Nigeria is the most populated Black country. So obviously we're having a lot of sex, right? So there has to be a place where these two meet, the numbers, the rate of birth rates or whatever, and the exposure to what sex is. That is not overt back home in Nigeria. So growing up, it was just, my first porno magazine ever was in a dumpster. I went to throw trash away with my sister and we saw this magazine and I'm like, what the hell is this? And we looked through it and we threw it back. But I'll tell you this. Every day after that day, I went back to that dumpster. I've never seen that so much in my life.
I was wondering if you went back.
And that was, I guess, my first time seeing another person naked, or people having sex, really throwing trash. And I went to boarding school. In boarding school, my school was all boys. A lot of schools in Nigeria, is modeled after England, and so we have all boys or girls. And people that had cell phones or snuck cell phones in will all watch porn, and it was just the fact that you were doing something that was against the law, I guess. Well, it makes it more interesting. There's someone watching the door and 6 other guys are over here watching porn on the phone, and then we switch shifts and stuff like that. It was that, but there was nothing that made me feel like that was reachable for me as a Nigerian. It just seems so far, because a lot of porn was American porn, and it's either in Nigeria back then you knew from how your family lived if you were going to move abroad, you're going to ever have the opportunity to move abroad or not. And it was not in my mind ever to leave the country. So I'm like, this is porn, this is just entertainment, but it's nothing that I can reach for. I don't think I'll ever see 2 people other than Africans have sex in front of me. I would never see that. And then I moved to the States. And then my first Uber driver was a porn star.
Oh, wow.
Yep. I'm like, okay. So I had been against ride shares and stuff because it was weird to me. Culturally, we didn't have that back home. So I'm like, I can't jump in someone's car. I don't know the person is just going to drive me to where I'm going. My friend's like, yeah, just do it. I ordered Uber, and there's a porn star I grew up watching. I'm like,
oh my gosh. That's crazy.
Yeah. And then like a few months later, I'm at the grocery store in North Hollywood, and I see another porn star in the grocery store. And that just made me more interested and more curious about this town that is floating around with, porn stars. And I was like, the way this is going, I might just end up on a porn set one day. I just said that. And
did you ever, I'm sorry to cut you off, but did you ever think you'd ever want to film?
I was
aspiring?
curious about it. I was curious about it because I saw the opportunity for me as a Nigerian to stand out in the industry. It's like making opportunities for yourself, creating a space for yourself. I could tell anyone that, hey, this is my country. We love porn, but we don't have any Nigerian porn. And so, hey, here I am, a Nigerian filmmaker, and let me make porn for you that, I guess Nigerians would be proud of. That was what I thought. I thought, there would be people clapping and saying, oh, our Nigerian hero. That is what I thought. But I never saw it I just saw it as a moment. I didn't see it as a career, because that longevity was just not why I moved to the States. So I just saw it as a moment. It's just like a dream, right? But a few months after that, my best friend, we're roommates, he got a job on a porn set as a PA. And I had a car, but I didn't have any job, any work. I was just working as a film, an AD. And so he tells me, "Hey, Marvin, can you drive me to set and I'll pay you $50?" I'm like, "Sure, I'll drive you to set." I drove him to set 2 times. And then the third time, I'm like, "Hey, do you mind if I come and help you guys run errands? Because I see that sometimes you might need coffee or something. I'll do that for you for free. And right now I see how stable this is for you, or semi-stable. I want something like that. So if, the director can see me work, he might actually add me to the crew. Who knows?" So he's like, "Okay, sure." So we do that. We get to set, and that was the worst day of my life.
Oh.
I mean, it was horrible in the sense that everything that could go bad went bad with the performers. But that was me really seeing porn for something other than what I used to see. That I thought people would just be having sex everywhere and all this. And no, it is a brand new guy who is literally, this might be his first time ever on a porn set, with a MILF, an established MILF, and he doesn't know how to act or whatever, or he doesn't know how to employ his male senses to stay hard for the scene. And he doesn't have, Viagra or any supplements, and she's on her period. And all those things right now, it's nothing to me. I have a way around it. But back then, they were new to me.
Yeah.
And it went on for hours. And I'm like doing everything I can to have the director notice me. But the director was so in his head about saving the scene that he didn't even see me work at all. So he never called me back. So I'm like, oh man, that was an opportunity lost. Damn it. So this thing isn't for me. But I was opportuned another time to go back to set, and I said, "Bro, I am going to make an impression on this director." And I did, and that's how I started working as a PA, just driving and running errands and all that stuff. There was no thought of growth other than that position, just as an assistant. And before that, I was an assistant to a very famous singer. And so I didn't know how I could juggle both.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
Yeah. I was an assistant to a singer, and then she got divorced, and I guess I stayed with her husband, and I was his assistant. And while I was doing that, I was also doing this.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome. So I think, you said they didn't click with you that first go round, but I think you learned a lesson, which I'm sure, because I feel your energy, and I think you draw from everything as well. And I love this. I think I could talk to you for you got such good vibes, brother. I think you interned, while she may have been on a period or whatever, but I think you okay, I know the next time, which is what made it so wonderful for you the next go round.
Yeah.
To just really help you stand out, that you just learned that lesson and you saw the reality. Because I think for myself working in the industry as well, it's okay, first you got to get that gloss off. We go in with blinders, right? We think it's this, we think it is that, like you said earlier, but no, it's really work. It's not this fantasy that we all think it is. There's fantasy moments, but there's actually a whole production to it. But then as a creative, if you love that, then you would fall in love with it, which we both did, I'm sure. And you just still make it work. So that's awesome.
So I did that, and I made an impression on the director, and I started working alongside my best friend for this director. Unfortunately, my best friend had to leave the country because his visa was up. So he had to go to India. And so the director was like, "Hey, Marvin, is just gonna be you and I." I'm like, "Okay, cool. No worries. I'm here." I have been told that I am very nice and I'm warm and I'm very inviting. It's easy to be around me, you know. I had a director that wasn't particularly like me. We're the opposites.
Yeah.
So I guess I was his PR, basically. I was, you know, everyone is excited to come to set because they're gonna hang out with me and it's gonna be fun. But still you have to take direction from this director. But it's a small price to pay, anyways. And that was how the dynamic was. And I was really happy. I became his right-hand guy, and we did a lot of work. Even to the point where I sat in meetings with him, with the top corporate guys. And I was really excited about that. The fact that, you know, he trusted me enough just because of how much people saw me as invaluable to his crew. Now, fast forward to 2020, he had to leave the country. You know, everyone had to resort to a means of survival because nobody knew what was going to happen. So he left and went back to his country. And the company at the moment, Brazzers, reached out and said, hey, do you want to become a director? This was out of the blue. I was driving Postmates during the pandemic. I was making so much money because everyone thought the world was going to end. So people were tipping like crazy. So I was making a lot of money.
That's awesome.
So, you know, trying to do that good deed, right? And they reached out to me and said, hey, do you want to be a director? I'm like, yeah, I would love to be a director. They're like, okay, cool. Here are these things you need to do. Sent me a huge folder, like open a business, open this, open that. I'm like, oh, I had never thought of this as a filmmaker. I just thought it was just being creative and writing stories and all that. They sent me the corporate side, and I was like, wow, this is actually happening. And I did it. I took the step. I opened my company, my LLC, and I started working for them. I had to tell my parents how I was surviving. So I'm like, oh God, my Nigerian parents, how are they going to take this? I remembered growing up that my mom loved this show, The Girls of the Playboy Mansion. So I told her that I work for Playboy. And she thinks I work for Playboy. But she's like, you work for Playboy. So she thinks it's just the reality TV part of it. So she'll like say hi to Hugh Hefner for me and stuff. Like he's dead, but sure.
Wow.
I think she might be guessing that that's not the case anymore, that it's more to my work, but she hasn't asked, so it's totally. So yeah, that's how I started directing. And that's been great ever since.
That's amazing. So Brazzers kind of nurtured you along into to kind of, that's beautiful. And that's a lot of trust.
That is a lot of trust.
Amazing.
I think in 2020, they went through a huge reform in the company as well, because the pandemic, we had time to unearth things that made people feel uneasy. And so a lot of names were being called up from the past and years before over situations that made people feel uncomfortable on set. And so a lot of them were purged out of the industry, and they needed new people that were different from the people that had left. So they wanted younger directors, people that were very relatable, people that the talent spoke highly of. Not from a perspective of, well, his angles are great, he shoots me great, whatever, but he makes me feel comfortable. Because if he makes me feel comfortable, then I will be in the right frame of mind to give my best.
Yes, I completely agree. Yeah, I can see that energy from you, dude. I love that. Hell yeah, dude. That is super dope. Man. Awesome. So congratulations there. So before we get to now, and you're like a winning awards, like you're the man now, but you still had like that initial love for film as well. Well, you're doing film, but I'm sure, you know, I hate to say that it's not like, you know how we put things in boxes.
Yeah.
Like, this is the
Yeah.
adult side, but
Yeah.
you wanted to make it like, I'm sure, like your own Lion King in a way, right? Or your own
Exactly.
beach. So
Exactly.
in a way, like you're doing this business to survive and live and create, but
Yeah.
also what's the other aspect of yourself as a what are those other end goals, and are you doing that? And I'm curious.
Yes. So I love film, and I love anything that also pushes the experience of the audience in terms of receiving a movie. Right. So while I was doing working for brothers doing their ad scenes, I fell in love with virtual reality, and I thank God, something that can keep me on my toes, because it's not redundant. It is also very complicated.
Yeah.
But when you make it successfully, you know that you have actually created an experience. It's more than, I shot a cool scene and sex was great. It's like I created an experience for the audience, and they would love this more because it feels more real. It feels like they are there. It sells what virtual reality should be. And so I was given the opportunity to direct some virtual reality scenes. I'm like, thank God, this is great. I then got into virtual reality, and that has been, honestly, that was the thing that made me show my creativity. Other than, Brazzers is not, a gonzo. They have some gonzo scenes, but it's not like, oh, this is a couch and two people having. It's bigger. It's a lot of things that we have to think about that comes with branding. They are a very established brand, and so working for them is not a walk in the park. It is knowledge of the brand and creative ways to make sure that Brazzers stays on Pornhub, those boxes where you see the fast motion videos. It's just working to make sure that your ad or your scene is there, because it's like, it's a review. It's submission, and then this is the result. So I loved that part, but virtual reality was just like, oh, something really amazing. So I started doing virtual reality, and I'm like, man, this is cool filmmaking.
Oh, yeah.
We have to take a camera and walk through an entire house. We have to hide everyone, the sound guy, the lighting guy, everyone hides behind the camera guy. And we're just like this and walking around the house to sell the experience of like a thief going through a house. You know what I mean? So like those kinds of shoots made me very excited. And I think they saw it. And I was giving Digital Playground, which has been, to be fair, the dream for me to direct for Digital Playground. Digital Playground makes feature films. They make movies like we see them in cinema. And I've always loved that. I live very close to the New Beverly, and the New Beverly is owned by Quentin Tarantino. And he shows his movies there, but also he shows like really artsy movies there as well, and cult classics and sometimes vintage porn. She shows them there. And when I got Digital Playground, it made it was just this connection where I saw myself making this movie, and then I can see it being played here because it fits into that. And that's the storytelling part of it, because you want to make a movie that reaches a wider audience, and hopefully one day you actually see your audience watching your film in cinema or something. And that is what I was given, and I have been working for Digital Playground now for 2 years.
So
it has been amazing.
I love it, man, bro. Congrats. Man, I just love this energy and this vibe, and thank you for sharing your story. So I guess you want to make mainstream art through your work with the adult business, as well.
Absolutely. I want to, and every day I feel like as humans, every day your goal changes. You have to sit and think about things and re-strategize and stuff like that. We all have a primary goal, is to be productive, and the way to that, or what that means, can change every now and then. And when I got very comfortable with my position in the industry, I recently changed that goal to making movies that globally represents people, right? I want to, and this is steering away from, the old way of porn where it's like, oh, it's an Asian character, so she's gonna be a masseuse, or it's this and whatever. I want to actually show people in their cultures and celebrate cultures. And I come from culture and I know how much that is. I know like the little bit of things, a little bit of storytelling or plot that I see or identify in movies that make me feel like, oh, I can relate to that. Or, oh, that's my culture. Whenever, Hollywood says, oh, Nigeria, and I know it's not Nigeria, it might be Mexico, but they said Nigeria. I'm like, oh yeah, this is my, you know what I mean? Like, it's just something that makes you celebrate. So I recently have gone on this path of making movies or scenes that have a global cultural representation to it. Now, global in the sense that it is wider than what the original niche of porn has been for years. Now I'm branching out to other things. I'm exploring other cultures. I just did an Indian one, and that was massively successful for Brazzers. And now I've seen like 9 Indian scenes pop up by other companies trying to copy that idea. But I really appreciate it because I've opened people's minds to that. And today we released a Saudi one. I'm like, this is amazing. Culturally, we are celebrating things. And rightfully so, I have to do a Nigerian one because I'm Nigerian. And yeah, that is in the works. Very soon, we'll be doing a Nigerian scene because, like, why not?
Yeah, bro.
Why not?
Dude, I like you, man. You're cool, dude. I love as a fellow POC filmmaker, creator, that's kind of like the end game in a certain way that we want to have happen when we can build and establish our power. Because we all know how the industry is already dominated in the old ways and everything. We have to build it out for ourselves. And I see that you're doing that, man. I just think it's absolutely beautiful, man. I love it.
I appreciate that because
I love to see it.
I feel like that is something that we need more. It is honestly one of the most consumed commodities in the world. And the numbers are more than 1 billion daily. When you think about that, over 1 billion people watching, it's not 1 billion Americans. So people don't understand the concept of a pool boy necessarily because they can't relate to that. I don't have a pool growing up. So I want to know what a sexy woman in my culture is. I know what a sexy woman in my culture is, but I want to actually have the opportunity to share that with the world. Why not? So that is what we're trying to do here. Globally, just share, represent different cultures. So what is a MILF in Nigeria? What does she look like? It's not having tits or whatever. Like in my country, we're not dressed that way, but there's something that even a woman covered from head to toe, there's something sexy about that. About that. So we want to explore that. And thank God they have been successful with the Indian one. And so I'm riding on that wave.
Man, dude, I feel your vibe, feel that energy, man. Let's promote a couple things you got going on right now, and I think as well, just the movement in what you're doing and establishing and just creating awareness for everybody. You just won the best VR scene, as you brought up earlier. You dabbled in VR, but for the Trans Erotica Awards, the T Awards.
Yes.
Like, speaking for that community as well, like, how was that, bro?
That was amazing. That was really, really that was amazing to have my scene win, because that was my first year making trans VR scenes, and I just when I got with the company, they were making straight scenes, and I said, hey, why don't you do trans scenes? And they don't know about the audience. I'm like, listen, the audience, they will watch it, feed them something, they'll watch it. Because at the end of the day, yes, the audience, decides what they want, but there's also the power shift where we also decide what the audience wants. That's why sometimes if we control what we give them, then we're actually controlling what the masses, definition of XYZ is. So I'm like, let's make some trans scenes. And we did. And that was amazing to win the T Awards. I wasn't there, unfortunately. That was a day I was filming for Digital Playground. I'm like, damn it. But it was cool. It was cool. And the story was really cool. It was a straight couple with a trans babysitter, and it's like an open couple and stuff. So having that, where you have a community or a story where we have the straight side and the trans side, and just having that openness and celebrating open relationships and stuff like that. Yes, we've seen that many, many times, but it also impacts how people feel. Like, it's okay for you to share your wife with a trans person or a gay person, or if you're going to practice an open relationship, open it to all, right? It's okay to explore that and see if it's for you or if it's not for you. And that is kind of what the story was about. And I love that won the best VR scene. And also we won the AVN Awards for the best VR scene for trans as well. That was great.
Amazing.
That made me happy.
Award winner over here, Marvin Love. And I also had in my notes that you're starting a new adult film agency, talent agency with your friend.
Yes.
What made you want to do that now? Don't you have too many hats? How are you finding the time?
Oh man, listen, I sometimes need a push, and my friend has been pushing me for a very long time to take the chance and actually start an agency where I can offer the full experience of being an adult filmmaker and rewrite the narrative of what an agent is, or an agent and talent relationship is. Because, to be honest, it isn't there yet. A lot of people think, and a lot of girls, guys, talent, they think their agent is the boss, but that's not the case. You are the boss and your agent works for you. Your agent's job is to go get you work. Agreed. And make sure you approve with your own boundaries, considered, that you approve of that work.
Exactly.
Agent, it's not a contract where you're bound to go have sex for someone else. That is not it. It is your career, and you have this person called an agent helping you manage that and keep you on track to grow to the best of your ability and to the limits that you've set for yourself. And that is what I wanted to do. I've always wanted that, just because I hear stories from girls a lot when it comes to say, oh, my agent did this. Sometimes they don't have an LLC, so we have to pay their agent, or pay them through their agent, and they are always against that. And whenever I see someone visually upset about the fact that I have to pay someone else for them, I just feel like a sense of, I am supporting, some form of trafficking. I don't know. It just.
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't like that.
Hell yeah, exactly.
And so whenever that happens, I was like, I don't want anyone. She worked. I saw her on set. She had sex. She should get paid. So this is her money. Rightfully, she should have an LLC. But me talking to her in that moment on the advantages of opening an LLC, I can't tell you the number of times I've had that conversation. And the girls, whenever they come back, they say, Marvin, guess what? I have an LLC. Why? Because I can't be a predator in approaching someone about business and their brand. And most agents are like, well, pay me or send the money to me and I will make sure she gets it. It's just so pimpish. I don't know. I just don't like it. So that's why I decided to open my agency, give a different experience to talent, give a different experience to people that have friends, family that are in the adult film industry. So they can maybe sleep a lot better knowing that there are people or there are agencies that don't take advantage of people. I know my set is run amazing. And also across, like right now, a lot of sets with Brazzers and the bigger company that owns Brazzers, we are working by the book, making sure everyone gets the exact same experience of respect, to boundaries, respect to self, respect to other talent, respect to time. But I'm taking that a step further where, you just get to, get a better experience about work.
Hell yeah. Are you accepting clients right now still? Are you guys in full operation?
Yes, we are. We're launching our website mid-April. The name of the agency is called the Bakery Talent Agency. Why did I come up with a name called the Bakery? I don't know, but I guess it had to do with food. But I think, and so my boss was asking me, so Marvin, it's called the Bakery. I'm like, yeah, get it while it's hot, maybe. But but I think honestly, the reason why I gave it the Bakery is because a bakery, and if you bake or even cook, food actually controls the chef. The pastries, especially baking, the pastries and all that, they control the chef. They control how successful you are. The amount of flour you add, the amount of yeast, whatever it is, those elements control who comes out and says, well, I'm a chef, whatever. But it's the ingredients that make that, right? The ingredients are more important to that. And that's why I just felt like, yes, I connect with that more. The success of me being a filmmaker, offering a full-on service, lies with how well the people that I'm offering the service to experience it and how I receive it as well.
Marvin, that is absolutely amazing. I'm going to definitely holler at some of my other industry peeps to like maybe come talk to you, maybe even get rep by you guys, because I love that energy, and it's so very true, so very real, man. Dude, I'm like also looking at the time. Like I have so many more questions, Marvin. We're gonna have to chat again, dude.
Oh yes, I told you I talk a lot.
Hey, I can talk a lot too, and I just didn't realize how much I was gonna enjoy this conversation. I feel and can understand why you are the most loved director out there right now. Why everybody wants to work with you, because you just got those vibes, brother, and it's such a pleasure, and it's so enriching, man. Thank you. So truly, thank you. Honestly,
pleasure's all mine. I try to make sure, and this is my first podcast, so I was nervous as hell.
Oh wow! I'm
honored. But because I want to make sure that I am myself completely, and I pass my message across clearly. That is the most important thing, that I make sure that what I am trying to do comes across clearly as much as possible, because that is the only way you can define me from what I say and how you understand it. Yeah.
Dude, I fucking love that. It's so real and it reads. I'm sure you understand that from camera work.
Yeah. yeah.
My friend. And that's why I think I love you so much from this interview and this experience, and why I'm saying thank you, because it definitely comes across. Marvin Love, y'all. I'm gonna have all of Marvin's links in the description below. Follow him on Twitter, follow him on Instagram, and go crazy like I am. Like, I need to go traveling with you because like this man is setting it off. Brother, thank you for your time. I definitely want to have you back as you continue your career. And I want to show love and light and support, my man. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I would love to come back. I would love to come back with, hopefully more experience in the vault. And yeah, I would love to share that as well.
Truly a pleasure. Everybody, Marvin Love, such a great time. We're going to have him back. All his links in the description below. Send him love, follow, subscribe, do all the things. I'm Kuya P. Nerds rule the world.